All right, we're gonna start with the first question, the FRQ. The first question on FRQ is gonna be g of -3. So you're gonna replace the x with -3, this x with -3, this x with -3. So 2 times -3 is gonna give you -6. And then 0 to -3, the orientation's off. So I will switch the orientation to become negative. So it was positive 9 pi over 4, but it changed it to negative 9 pi over 4. How do I know it's 9 pi over 4? Because the radius 3. So 3 times 3 times pi divided by 4. And that's why it's negative, because the boundary switch. That first question should be easy 1 point out of 9. The second point, g prime of x, that's easy also. Take a derivative of 2x, it's 2. And then take a derivative of this, and the boundary is x, so they'll end up being f of x. Is that okay? The third point is plug in -3. So if I plug in -3, it's gonna be plug in -3 here. It's gonna be 2 plus f of -3. F of -3 is 0. So the answer is 2. And that's easy 3 points. Everybody should be able to get those 3 points. If you don't, then you gotta figure out like what you don't understand. And like I said, don't be the person that just sit there and nod, because that doesn't help you. Any questions? Okay. Now, x coordinate where g has a maximum. I personally feel like this question are one of the harder one. So first of all, you want to find critical points. Critical points means you're going to set this equation that g prime of x is equal to 0. So if you do that, you're going to get f of x equal to -2. Then here's a hard part. F of x equal to -2 is somewhere around right here. But where they are, right? Which x value does that belong to? So do you know the slope of this straight line? What is slope? Not 2. -2, good. So it'll be y equal to -2x plus 3. Does that make sense? And then so -2x plus 3 is equal to -2. So therefore, you go ahead and solve it. X equal to 5/2. So that's how you get 5/2. Yes.
Do you not just make a table?
You can do a table for now. They didn't do a table. They did it a little bit easier. This is the only question I've ever seen that they did it this way. But yeah, I would probably do a table. The only thing is you had to including the endpoints. So you had to including from 0 to here, right? 0 to 5/2. And then so the value of the table is a little bit hard to get. So I hear they just went on to say, well, since this one is greater than 0, this one's less than 0. So therefore, this has to be a absolute max. But personally, I think you should do a table to get all other points. All other question, because this is, remember, this is 2011. 2011 has a little bit different scoring rubric compared to now. 2016, they changed the new rubric. Mainly just say you have to write down a table. But this one, you can do it without table, and you can say, well, absolute maximum occur at 5/2, because here is greater than 0, here is less than 0, so 5/2 is your maximum. Yes.
Yeah, I got 3.
Like, I don't get what that number is.
You should get 5/2.
Yeah, I don't get where you're getting at.
Because f of x equal to -2, right?
Yeah.
Well, -2 is a critical point. So you want to set -2 equal to this line. So negative 2 equal to this line, because usually this one is not there. 2x is not there. If 2x is not there, then yeah, 3/2 is the correct answer. But there's a 2x right here, so therefore you had to set equal to 2, and that's how you get 5/2. Because you had to set 2 equal to negative 2x plus 3, and you'll get x equal to 5/2. So you have to start at 5/2. The only right answer is 5/2. It's not 3/2, because you had to set critical number first. Now, with that being said, you're gonna go to the next part. They say, oh yeah, which graph point inflection? Point inflection is gonna happen at 0 because they change the sign for g double prime of x. Now, Olivia says this questions here is gonna be what I do. Just take those two, subtract each other, subtract x boundary. You should get negative 2/7. Now, I think that this one might be a harder one because the question is very hard to read. There is no point, so non-existent for that is f prime of c is equal to average rate of change, which is that also means mean value theorem. Mean value theorem has a condition. It has to be continuous and differentiable. It is continuous function between -4 to 3, but it's not differentiable at two specific points. At here, it's not differentiable because a vertical tangent. Slope is equal to straight line, or slope has drastic change. So it's at -3 and 0 is where it's not differentiable. So it's not differentiable. That's why they say there's no point, because there's no point which is they equal to this. So therefore, mean value theorem is true because at this two particular point, it's not differentiable. So this is kind of hard. Yes.
Where did you get -2/7?
You have to figure out what's f of 3 and f of -4. So figure out what f of -4 is. So f of -4 is equal to this is f of -4 is equal to -1.
I thought you said like 3 is f of -4, you plug into the boundary.
You don't plug in the boundary because you had to take a derivative to get f.
So it's already like based off the graph.
Yeah, based on the graph. Three is a -3. -3 minus -1 is negative. The first one, this one's 1/2. So the height is 1/2. So 1/2 times 1 is 1/2 times 1/2 is equal to -1/4. And the boundary is also swapped. Oh, the boundary is not swapped in this case. So this one's -1/4. Because from here to here is 1, right? From here to here is 1/2, right? So area triangle is 1/2 base times height. So 1/2 times 1 times 1/2. And it's negative, so it's -1/4. Now from 1 to -2, you switch, put a negative sign in front of it. I always do the steps. I always change your orientation. AP exams change your orientation as well. I will change your orientation. Now from -2 to 1 is basically this is a triangle right here, which is 3/2. And then this is a -π/2. So if I distribute a negative sign, it becomes π/2 minus 3/2. Good. This one should be pretty easy. You should get easily 2 points. Just evaluations. And x equal to 1 is neither maximum or minimum. It don't have to be maximum minimum because they never cross the x-axis. If they cross, it's going to be minimum. But it did not cross, so it's not a maximum or minimum. So it's neither. Point of fractions are -2, 0, and 1 because you know x equal to f prime x. Changing sign at each values. So this should be an easy part of AP exam. For me, I think like this is the easiest part of the exam because it doesn't require for you to take integral or derivative and stuff like that.
You should be.
Huh?
You should be.
D, yeah. I should get easy 9 out of 9 or at least 7 out of 9. And they give you a scoring rubric, so I'm teaching you how to reading the rubric. Like sometimes you just even write down like g prime of x equal to 0. That's gonna give you 1 point. And does not require you for you to write down a lot of stuff. Questions? All right, let's go to the other one. The first one, you have to be careful how many sub-interval are there. So I give you a lot of points, and you have to decide, well, 6 equal interval, I need to use 6. So it'll be 2 times 5, 2 times 8, 2 times 7, 2 times 11, 2 times 15, 2 times 12. But the second one has 3 equal interval. How many people trick you? Because 3, you need to make sure each width is 4. Why 4? Because you can do a b minus a, so 14 minus 2 over 3 is equal to 4. So therefore, I know each rectangle width is going to be 4. The height is based on the right Riemann sum, so it'll be 13, 15, and 7. It will not use 5. It will use a midpoint. Midpoint, I'm going to use right in between. Right in between. So I don't use 2, 6, 10, and 14. I use 4, I use 8, I use 12. Or I use the height of that. I use a y value. So it'll be 8 plus 11 plus 12.
Yeah. What number did you use for the right one? What's the middle number?
15.
Plus what, 7?
Yeah. So I go backwards, right? I go this one, I go this one, and I go this one. Because I leave the left end point alone. And for the midpoint, I don't use right or left. I use right between the left and right. So I use the 8, 11, and 12. I use it between 2 and 6, and 6 and 10, and 10 and 14, which is x value 4, 8, and 12. Does that make sense?
Because it's 3.
And also because it's a midpoint. It's the middle of right end or left end. So midpoint is the only one does not use right endpoint at all. It does not use left endpoint at all. I'm gonna use the middle between right and left.
Why do you use why do you multiply by 4 for 3?
You also because three sub intervals. So let's just say from 12, from 2 to 14 is equal to 12, right? The difference. If I break up the 3 equal intervals, so I'm gonna do 12 divided by 3 is 4. So that's where the 4 come from. So 4 is very, very important. Yes, Anna.
Can you explain like how we use formula 14 minus 3 divided by 2?
Is a b minus a over n. Explain it. This is upper bound. This is the lower bound, right? So that means the difference. Well, how many sub-interval? If I break to 5 subinterval, then I have to divide it by 5. If I break that to 3 subinterval, I'm going to divide it by 3. In this case, it's 3 subintervals, so I'm divided by 3. Now the first one is divided by 6, right? So each one is 2, so that's why this is 2. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. And last one is divided by 2, so let's make sure that each trapezoid it has 6 as a height. Right? So do you see this is 6? This is 6? Because b minus a over n, so it'll be 14 minus 2 divided by 2, which is 12 divided by 2, which is 6. So I use, I trick you on this question is because how many subinterval they are. And you have to figure out b minus a over n is very useful. Yes, Anna.
Does this formula also apply to regular?
Does this formula apply to regular interval? Yeah, but not irregular interval. Irregular interval, you had to multiply each one individually. So for this case, right, this is 4. Sorry, the 4 times 12 times 4, 3 times 7, 5 times 8, each with a different of this rectangle. So I had to take account into their different unequal width. Same thing as right Riemann sum. It's gonna be using right endpoint, but the difference on here is 5, and 5 times 3, and the difference between here to here is 3, but 3 times 8 because you use right endpoint, and then 4 is gonna be times 7. Trapezoid, just each trapezoid, so each trapezoid is different. See, this one's 4, this one's 3, this one's 5, because they are interval. So I treat everything as irregular, because if I treat everything irregular, I can do regular interval as well, because I just, I always pay attention to the width of each thing. Yes, Miranda?
Oh, never mind. Doing it.
Now for this particular one, it's actually added 20 in the front. Now why do I add 20? Because integration of a velocity, which is rate in this case, if I integrate it, I'm going to get amount of something, right? If I get amount of something, that's going to be all the water accumulated. But you also need including that there's, before the tank is already have a 20 there. So it's 20 plus 22 times 2 plus 15 times 2. Did anybody not including the 20? Everybody including 20? Then you guys are smart because I didn't talk about it. Yes?
Well, what's the reason behind including 20? I think including it.
So imagine that I have this empty bottle right here, right? And I says each time it's gonna be different rate. And but today usually you start, then I can figure out, well, it's from here to here, that's gonna be the integration. But what if I already have 20 there, right? So it's gonna be, because the question's asking, can you estimate total amount of water after 4 minutes? So total amount is actually including what you start with and the integration between 0 to 4.
Okay.
So yeah, so that's 20 is there. This one, I like this question personally because I can ask so many questions here. I can ask you, like, if you know how to build a table, which is something probably like this is good. You also understand 9 to the x is exponential, so it's concave up. So concave up, you can say, well, that's going to be 1/2 times 81 times 27 times plus 9 plus 3. So it's going to be 1/2 times all this value. At the same time, are they overestimate or underestimate? If I use right end point, I'm going to be overestimate. And you got to be able to justify, you're going to say f prime of x is positive. So that's why it's overestimate. If f prime of x is negative, then it's going to be underestimate. I can also ask you trapezoid too. If the trapezoid is over or under, it's over, right? Because if I draw a trapezoid, it's over. So if today I can ask you trapezoid rule, right? And you're gonna be is over. Does that make sense? Now this question is a question Samantha asked of me last night. I don't know if you guys pay attention to the chat, but this question is a little bit more difficult. So this question is really a level 5 level students. So the people who score a 5 can easily do these questions. But I'm gonna explain to you again. So they say tangent line approximation. That means you gotta be able to draw a tangent line, right? And they say, well, to find f of 0.9, following f of 1 equal to 4, but then you say, let's look at this. This is f prime x. But at 1 is right here. What's my f prime x? F double prime x is greater than 0. Why is it greater than 0? Because the slope of f prime is positive. Again, I'm going to say that again. The slope of f prime is positive. Because see, this slope is going up. If it's going up, it's positive. So that means f double prime of x is also positive. If f double prime is positive, then the function is concave up. Does that make sense? Now, if I have this point here, let's just say this point is, let's say 1, 4, and it's concave up, so equation tangent line is going to be something like this. Now, at 0.9, this is going to be a under approximation, because here at 1 it's going to be, so because due to concavity, concave up, then draw tangent line is always under approximation. It's concave down, then the tangent line is always overestimation. So you gotta understand concavity can influence trapezoid rule and can also influence equation tangent line. You can tell from concavity to equation tangent line. So it's actually a very, very high level question. There's a lot of AP exam questions based on this toward the end of the test. So they are pretty hard questions. Yes.
And you said the concavity is based on f prime of x?
F double prime. Concavity is, yeah, but this one's f prime x, right? But I can say, wait, what's the slope of this? If I have a slope of this, then it's f double prime. Am I confusing you?
No.
Is it good? Fabian good? Olivia good? Lee? Uh-huh. That sounds kind of sus. Apple? Okay, yeah.
I was gonna say the 0.9 then becomes an approximation or an
Yeah.
approximation.
So what happened is if I ever have something like this, right? And let's say this is 1, this point is 1, 4, right? Your equation tangent line is something like this, right? Now 0.9 is something like this, right? Is that below or above the actual function? Is it below?
Yeah.
Right? If I draw a tangent line. Yes.
To justify it, do we say f prime of x or f double?
F double prime of x is greater than 0. So the only time that you need to justify F double prime, if I was over or under, is usually trapezoid rule or tangent line approximation.
The rest are just f prime.
Pretty much because the right end and left end is based on the increasing or decreasing.
What would be an example of prime being concave up and the answer being overestimating?
So if something is concave up, I would just draw it, right? It's pretty much anytime it's concave up, if you have tangent line, then that's over.
But I'm saying if it's prime is concave up, so like it'll be that one would be concave down. Would that ever happen?
Wait, say that again.
So
F.
if you go back to the example we just had, let's say that f prime graph was concave down. Would there
Okay.
be any case where the answer to this question would be overestimating?
Problem of concave down is if I say depend on which point it is, right? So if something concave down, and this is f prime, right? Depend on which side we are seeing. Are we seeing from this side or we're seeing from this side? Because f double prime of x on left hand side is positive. On the right hand side is negative because it's based on the slope of f prime. So you are looking at the slope of f prime rather than concavity of f prime. I don't know if that makes sense.
Oh, I messed up my question. What I meant to say is looking at this graph, would there ever be an instance where the answer would be overestimated? That's what I meant to say instead of.
Would that be answer overestimate? So overestimate, it has to be concave down. So yeah, from this side, it will
Okay,
be.
from that graph.
Yeah, from let's say it's 1 here. Let's say it's 1 here. And so f double prime is negative, right? F double prime is negative, it's concave down. So any approximation is going to be over. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's based on which side you're talking about. You based on this side or this side, because f double prime are different. So that's why the thing is like you guys have to understand like the hardest part for anybody to understand is to understand what are we talking about. Are we talking about f prime? Are we talking about slope of f prime? And slope of f prime is f double prime. Yes, Anna.
Is it okay that on the test you will graph just to do like?
Yeah, but that won't be a justification. So you have to say f double prime is greater than 0, f double prime is less than 0. You cannot just say, hey, I'll join, that's my justification. They don't recognize join as justification. Join is a good assistant to help you to understand things. That's why a lot of time, like I train little kids. So I train kids outside of school. I will tell them, you don't have to solve the problem, you just draw the stuff for me. Like, especially at 5th or 6th grade, I'm gonna ask them draw the idea what they have. I don't look at it, their question is right or wrong. I want to ask them, like, can you draw and show me what's going on with these questions? So drawing is kind of important because drawing it's not the right answer per se, but does help you lead to get right answer. So people need to learn how to draw, right? It's if you say I hate drawing, then that's not gonna help you. The recess is hate drawing. But drawing is actually a big part of math problem solving if you don't understand. Even in physics, you had to draw stuff. And you had to, that help you understanding things. And those you guys in physics. I don't know, do you ever have to draw stuff?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so drawing is a very, very important. I don't think they emphasize that when they're talking about any type of education. I think drawing is a very, very important. Now, this is the, I said y equal to x to the 1/3. If I take a differential, I find out that dx. dx is going to be 1/2. So it's going to be 1/3 times 125 times negative 2/3. Now, this question is not on the test, but you should know how to do it because linearization is part of things. And you should get 749 over 150 because 5 minus that, because you know cube root of 125. This is the answer. It's really, really bad writing because I don't have decreasing is from negative 30 to negative 3, 0 to 3. Increasing from 3 to 0, 3 to infinity. Concave up is going to be negative 30 to negative 1.7321 and 1.732 to infinity. Concave down is negative 1.732 and 1.732. Inflection point is going to be negative and positive 1.732. Now for this question, this question is a bad question. The closest answer, the best answer is going to be B. However, that's not the best answer, I think. It should not including M, it should use A. If the A is actual, so then it's going to be LTAR. If you draw it out, you're going to find out left is better than trapezoid. Trapezoid is greater than actual. Actual is greater than right.